Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by MarketFi. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Brianna Valesky, and we have Jerremy Newsome on the line. He's the CEO of RealLifeTrading.com, and he may have the distinction as being our youngest guest that we've ever had on the show. A 26-year-old. No? Who's younger, Brianna?
We had Ben Banks. He's 18 years old.
Oh, okay. All right, Jerremy, how you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for asking, Joel. I've missed you guys. It's been too long.
Okay. All right. Well, we got you back on here, and let's do a little revisionist history just to see kind of how you handled the situations last week. First of all, got to go back and talk about Netflix. I mean, did you? And I know, and I can remember. Now, I think I know your trading style here. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember. What was it? It was a UPS, or there was some stock that was trading down a lot, and the pre-market, and you said, I'm looking to short this thing. And I'm like, why, Jerremy? And you said, the market's telling you it wants to go down. I'm looking for the first pop, and I'm getting short that thing. And then I had you on again, and it worked out. So if I'm going to use that on the flip side, Netflix was traded up 50, 60 bucks. You didn't care. You were waiting for a pullback to go long.
I was, absolutely. Yes. I was looking a lot. I mean, I think I pulled the trigger on weekly calls, about 7 minutes after the open.
Wow.
It was
Which ones?
It was a no-brainer. April 540s.
Wow. And it's just said, okay, hey, I'm throwing my lot out here. I'm just throwing a number out here. You know, I spent $1,000 on the options. If I lose $1,000, then I lose $1,000. But I'm just not going to look at it, right? Is that the way you
that was, yeah, exactly. I mean, that was almost exactly it, man. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful gap. And I echo Scott's sentiments entirely. By the way, I want to throw this out there. I don't know if he's listening right now, but I'm a huge fan of Scott Redler. I have a little bit of a man crush on him. I've been following him on Twitter for a long, long time. He's a great guy.
Okay.
But yeah, I echo his sentiments entirely on Netflix. I mean, it was a sensational gap. And what I'm comparing it to right now, Joel, so you'll know, is I'm actually comparing it to October 2013 of Google.
I knew you were going to say
Remember that?
I knew you were going to
You
say
did?
Yeah, I did.
I think it's the same thing, man. The structure looks so similar to me. So I'm calling for Netflix to be in the 600s, 700s by end of 2000 or end of this year. For sure.
Yeah, you know why? The reason I remember that Google trade, was it around 500 then, or 550?
It is, yeah. I mean, exactly. The numbers are so similar. The patterns are so similar. The gap was so similar. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of them. And so that's why I'm really thinking that they're going to be twin sisters.
The reason I remember that is because I remember I went out. I'm like, I just had a feeling. And I went out like on the 535 calls or something like that. And, of course, I paid up the premium. It opened up at like 550, and I'm like, I'm up $1 on this spread on this call. Are you kidding me? Because of the premium. But by the end of the week, it ended up coming in. Let's talk about some of the movers in today's session. Morgan Stanley kind of following the leads of the other big banks. Goldman had good numbers on Friday. When you see, and I know this one's trading up, but boy, it was trading up much higher, back up over 38. Is this one not as much on your radar because you've fallen back so much from the pre-market high, or are you still ready to get in there?
It really kind of is, yeah. It really kind of is. I think that with the bulls right now, some of the bulls are going to get punched in the face a little bit because Friday's gap was a little damaging. Now, I'll say overall, finance sectors and a lot of other sectors, I think that there's going to be a soft retracement a little bit this week. I do think we have, believe it or not, some slightly lower lows on the market. Nothing crazy by any means. Just a nice little healthy pullback, in which case, as a perma bull, I will buy. But on Morgan Stanley specifically, if it doesn't get above 37.85 on pre-markets, we got 3 more minutes, Joel, I really, I'm not seeing it as a super healthy gap. I mean, being 37.47.
Why do you pick out that number? Why do you pick out 37.85?
If you could hop over, you have a daily chart, I think, pulled up.
Yep.
So 30, let's see, the April 15th candle, the high is 37.56. And then the high of the 16th is 37.56. So you have two candles, which you actually have a tweezer top, and it's a textbook tweezer top because the highs are the exact same. So that's a very strong reversal candle pattern, like a very strong. So and if we don't get above that resistance, you're going to get massive sellers again at 37.56. So we've got to get above that price by a few pennies because anyone who went short, I mean, all the algos and the high-frequency traders who went short at 37.56 to the penny, they're going to get trapped if we get above there. Otherwise, they're just going to short it again at that price.
Do you, speaking of algos and trading, do you participate in IPOs at all? We had Virtue come off the board last week, or come on the board. VIRT, did you trade that at all? If not, what's your take on the high-frequency trading firm?
I didn't actually trade it. No, I wait a solid month for all IPOs to kind of calm down because, like I said, I do like to trade options a lot, as you know, and you can't really short IPOs either for a while. So I love shorting. Incredible IPOs last week. Etsy, GoDaddy, you got the high frequency. I mean, that's incredible to me. But I think this new IPO is really, really interesting. I really do. It's almost too deep to go into right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to wait on it. I'm going to wait on it for to trade it personally. I'll probably wait a month or so after IPOs have come out. But I think it's very similar.
No, I mean, we have some other guests, Fari Hamzy. He even likes to wait for a couple earnings reports and, with his Sigma channels and whatnot, he waits for a lot more price action to develop. So I could definitely agree with that sentiment.
Sure.
Hasbro, okay. Are you bullish the Hasbro here? Trading up quite a bit in the pre-market. Do you have any Hasbro toys?
No, I don't have any toys. Used to, I'm sure, but I was a big Jurassic Park fan when I was younger. But Hasbro on the 9th of February, that was really the gap that I was really, really excited about. But this particular gap, it is a good gap, but I'm not as bullish as you might imagine because not as many people are losing money. I mean, that's the key. Like if I'm really bullish or really bearish, I want to go with what everyone's doing when they freak out. So Hasbro, yeah, it's going to move up a little bit for sure. I mean, without question on the gap, but it is going to pull back, and I'll look to buy the bounce, but I'm going to wait, 30 minutes or so. But Hasbro, great trend. I mean, there's no reason not to be bullish on it. I'm just going to wait for a little bit of a pullback for either a day trade or a swing trade on it because it really is kind of extended.
Right, and Mattel had some good earnings last week as well. Let's take a look here at Halliburton. Sprinted up over $48 on the headline number. Kind of came back down to earth here with crude pulling back a little bit. What's your take on Halliburton here?
Yeah, Halliburton and oils in general and kind of this entire sector, I do think we're going to have a little bit of an accumulation phase. We're going to have, if you do any type of Elliott wave, Joel, I think we're going to have some type of wave 4 action where we're going to get some type of big triangle consolidation pattern. I really, truly do think energies have a lower low coming into August, September, and I might be massively mistaken. I'm not actually long on any positions at the moment on oil. But if we do go a little bit lower, I'll buy it. Shorter term on Halliburton, though, I think the 200 daily simple moving average is our next target. 52.51 is where it's at right now. And that's kind of my general consensus. Like, we're going to go a little bit higher, I believe, on Halliburton, and then we'll have likely that more healthy, retracement that really, really freaks some people out. And then that's when all the smart money gets in and starts buying it up while we're getting a little bit lower. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. I think we do go a little bit higher, especially today.
Okay, the worst performing stock in the Dow over the last 2 years has been IBM. Mr. Buffett, as you know, well invested in the issue. I mean, I think it's most interesting when you look at a weekly chart in this thing, getting a little pop up today here. The dog of the Dow here for the last couple years, just kind of sleeping giant. It's just going to be one of those occasions where you're like, oh my gosh, look at all the time I had to purchase this between 150 and 165, and I did it. And then you talk about inflicting pain on people, Gap's up $15 at 180 or something like that, or are you still got some more time? I mean, I just don't see from a risk-reward basis here, shorting it, boy, and it had a big down move. I'd love to get it, if it came anywhere near 150. Whereas if you do get a big gap up in this, good earnings, maybe a little forward guidance, a couple upgrades, this thing could have some room on the upside.
Dude, you know what, Joel? That was an incredible trading plan. Truly, that was awesome, man. That's forward thinking, and that's what makes a trader become a professional. Is just thinking not necessarily what's going on today, but create in your mind exactly what you want it to do a week or a month from now, and then pulling the trigger when it happens. I mean, truly, that sounded perfect to me. I mean, that's exactly verbatim what I would have done or will do. On trading IBM, coming down to 150, it's a no-brainer. As it gaps up and scares people to 180 and you get some of the guidance and the upgrades that come out, absolutely, it's a buy because you're going to have all those people going, crap, I missed it at 160, and then they're going to hop in. So that's at least my thought.
What was I thinking, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We did a biotech show on Friday, and, those biotechs, one incredible run they've had.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's the biotech bubble. We asked that a lot. I mean, you look at Biogen, that kind of was really the thing that kicked things off. That had that one day, I can't remember what the positive trial was, popped it up and immediately gave it back. And although the IBB has, recovered quite a bit, Biogen hasn't. So first get your take on Biogen and then also the IBB index, the biotech index.
Yeah, I fully agree with the bubble sentiment. I really, really do. I echo it. BIIB, specifically on the 20th of March, if you hop over to a daily chart, you'll see what I refer to as exhaustion volume. So, on March 20th, right, BIIB gets into the highest 480. And people are calling for 500, and it just has this massive gap. It's, at this point, you went from 340 to 480 in like 3 months, and you had this massive volume coming in. I'm just thinking to myself, people are trying too hard. And when everyone's talking about it, and when I had a buddy of mine from college called me that I haven't talked to in like 3 years, he's like, "Hey man, think about buying this. What do you think about it?" When you have that type of thing coming on, you're like, yeah, this is not the time to buy. Everyone's talking about this. Everyone's wanting to buy. This is the exact time not to buy. And I actually do think BIIB should and would and could and might, all those terms. I do think if they have a decent pullback back to, so I think you're looking at the weekly chart earlier, if they do make it back to 356 is kind of my downside target. And if we do pull back a little bit, I think that's a great buying opportunity low, but this is definitely one. I would pause. If you're profitable, lock in some cash. In my personal opinion, let it pull back, buy low, sell high on bios, because this is same thing with the index. I just think they're really kind of, at this point, too high, way too high.
Jeremy, I have the most important question of the show for you right here.
What's that? What's that, Grandma?
Did you watch the new Star Wars trailer?
I did!
Yes.
I did! I'm so excited! Yes!
Excellent.
It looks so good.
Excellent.
It looks so good. Are you pumped up? Are you ready? Are you a Trekkie or a Star Wars?
pumped. No, I'm a Star Wars fan. It comes out like the day before my birthday, so I know exactly what I'll be doing in December. But I mean, we're just looking to see. Everyone's excited to see what Disney is doing with the franchise. I mean, what are your thoughts on Disney as a stock right now?
Oh, that's a very valid question. I mean, good tie-in, too. With Disney, it's just such a nice, healthy trend. It's just crushing it, making higher highs, higher lows, doing its very, very pretty thing. I personally think it's going to accumulate. The correct terminology is distribute. So there's going to be some selling pressure around 108, 109, and we're going to pause up there. I don't think we break 109 for probably a few weeks, maybe a month. But then earnings is coming right around the corner. If we just chill out here until earnings, we get a nice gap on Disney. Absolutely. I think Disney is a good buying opportunity for a short time period, maybe up until Star Wars. I mean, it's definitely going to generate some buzz for sure. But that's going to probably about the time where it gets too high, too parabolic. Again, if everyone's talking about it, you're at the movie theater, the girl or the guy in the booth is like, "What do you think about buying Disney stock?" That's around the time everyone's talking about it. It's probably the time that you're going to want to start taking some of your profits off the table on Disney. But I'm super excited about the film. I think Disney has a lot of potential. And I think Apple has a lot of potential about the iWatch. I mean, Joel, I couldn't talk a whole show without talking Apple, right?
Before you do, I just couple things on Disney, and then we'll let you go into the Apple. One is when it had the great earnings last time. I remember doing a quick article on it, and I try and look for different factors, like why maybe there's a big short interest, and there was hardly any short interest. So when you had that last big move up in Disney, off the earnings, that was new buyers coming in. It wasn't short covering. You couldn't pan it to that. So that was one thing to keep an eye on. The huge volume day to the upside. You certainly had the follow through. The other thing is I know Dennis is probably squirming to get back on the show because he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he actually has come up with a strategy, and it's called the tractor beam. And like when the Jedi, I don't even can remember, the Jedi goes towards like the Battlestar Galactica. What's it called? When
the Death Star?
The Death Star.
You're the worst nerd ever, Joel.
So you got to check it out. I think we have it on our site, Pre-Market Info. You can check out that trailer. Apple, let's talk about it. It's just been a sleepy stock here. The Apple Watch coming up. You hear, Tim Cook says everything's fine. I'm thinking of this consolidation here. This is another one kind of like the IBM. If I don't have some exposure to the long side here, going to get ahead of the Apple Watch, I kind of think I'd be kicking myself saying, hey, this was like a no-brainer. They're going to sell a couple million of these things.
I kind of agree with you, man. Here's another thing. I think a lot of these things move in waves. Very similar structure, very similar sentiment because we're all humans, right? I think that in Apple, if you look at the chart on a daily, Apple looks identical to what it did last time before earnings. And then it gapped up, right? And then just went to the moon. I think Apple is in a very similar pattern. So all I'm saying is if it does gap down, I'm going to see where it gaps down to, and I'll probably be a buyer, depending on where it gaps. But if it gaps over 130, Joel, oh my goodness.
Gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Gone. Yes, it's moving. Yep, I'm just keeping an eye on that level.
All right, we're going to throw a couple lower price stocks, or at least one lower price stock at you here. Groupon.
Groupon. What about it? What do you think about Groupon?
Well, here, I mean, it's been consolidating for a while. $7 seems to be a pretty good level. I mean, dead money to me, but it can make some good moves off earnings. Is it something you trade? I mean, it's kind of like an option here at this price at $7, huh?
It is, yes. I think with Groupon, you probably are doing a long-term straddle strangle with options, right? So you're buying like a, August or September $7 call, and you're doing the same thing with the put, and then you're doing some calendar debit spreads or something over earnings or prior to it, because really with Groupon, it's going to surprise people one way or another. And the question is, what way does it surprise? Do they actually make a substantial amount of money at one point? Or are people like, this whole Groupon thing's a lot like coupons, and anyone can do it, it's really easy, and it's not that great, it can be really copied, so it goes to zero. I think that's one of the two. I don't really see how innovative they are. I love Groupon, but I don't really use them. Like, I love their idea, but I can get a coupon. I mean, Google, it's so simple, so it's really, really hard to make that business model sustainable. I don't see how they go much, much higher, but if they do, it would be a surprise to a lot of people, in which case it'd probably head to 12 or 13 and we'd probably be done.
Yeah, low barriers to entry on that one. Taking a look at Royal Caribbean, kind of a goosey chart here, up and down. Good earnings, not so great guidance. Fuel costs have been a little bit of a problem. They blamed it on the strong dollar. What about this one? Big gap down here. It's having trouble even getting back over $75.
It is. I'm actually going on a cruise in May, so I'm excited to see how fun that'll be. But I think it is a little damaged. You're right. That is kind of a bearish gap. I would be shocked if we don't trade a little bit lower into the $71 price range on Royal Caribbean. But once they figure out that I'll be on their cruise line, I think I'm just kidding. But probably on 72, 71. I'll probably pause for a little bit. But if we break that low on Royal Caribbean, that 72, 70, the $70, well, let's just say specifically $70, I think it does sink a little bit. as far as the stock is concerned.
Okay, going with the trend, Jerremy Newsome,
Yeah.
CEO of reallifetrading.com, 26-year-old trader and CEO of Real Life Trading. Thanks a lot for coming on, Jerremy. It's always great to hear your chipper voice, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jeremy.
My pleasure. You guys rock. Have a good day.